All right, so this is going to be on duality, as well as an example of what an LII, INTj, and an ESFJ look like. So you're getting kind of three things in one here. You're getting an example of two types, and you're getting an example of a duality relationship as discussed by these two. I'm going to see if I can hit some of the highlights that they're talking about here. Hopefully, the actual video itself is like over an hour and so on. That might be long for some people, but hopefully we can hit up some of the little juicy details. So without further ado, let's go.
What was I typed originally in Socionics? I was typed like EIE, and then I met an EIE, and she was like, "You're not EIE, you're IEE." I was like, "Oh, okay." And that is it. Emery and a few. I was typed on Discord server, and Jack met me for the first time in the World Socionics Discord server, and he was like, "Yeah, she's Hugo," which
yeah, you didn't know what that meant.
Name. Yeah, I did not know what that meant. I was like, Hugo? Is that like the Russian Bertha? Like I'm yeah. So no, it's just the Russian name for POC.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I think one of the things is that it's like in especially like the online community, it's a little bit more difficult to identify types that aren't there as uncommon, because I don't think it's particularly common for like ESCs to be really heavy into theory like socionics.
Very true.
It's weird to go from being like, what is it like, because I was typed as like a ENFP. It's weird to go from being like ENFP like really common to like ESC not super duper. Yeah.
And that's a few things that you can notice a lot of times is that yeah, absolutely, ESCs are one of those types that usually does not give a crap about theory. It is probably very unusual to find ESCs in socionics, which is all the more reason why I like to showcase ESCs when you can find them. I hope you're paying attention to the interaction between them, the way they look, the way they speak, the amount of emotion they display, everything else, all that stuff. She also mentioned being ENFP, and that is something that, yeah, a lot of times ENFPs can seem a little bit like ESE, or even EIE, because ENFPs can be very emotive, very expressive, have good usage of FE, but they don't value it. So there's a good chance that you kind of get those mixed up. Right. Anyway, carry on.
And there's a lot of other things behind the scenes that makes our relationship work well, other than the fact that we're duals. So, but yeah, it is just kind of like a fun act. So I think that is just something that's really important, because I know people in this community really romanticize the idea of duality.
Yeah, it doesn't solve all your relationship problems. It's not a magical potion that you can just involve yourself in and you automatically solves everything. It's yeah, I think it's at the end of it all. Well, sociology is about information metabolism, and that's really all that the intertype relations are. And like through our experience, like that's basically how it ended up. And so we might talk about some duality descriptions, but yeah, just like as a warning to anyone that's like, once again, the duality, like I'm sure there are plenty of great relationships outside of duality. This works for us. This doesn't work for everyone necessarily, but yeah.
So great point that they brought up there. It's really about information elements. People who are your dual, people who are the positive types in your quadra, they just communicate in a way that you can understand. It kind of works well for you, and that's why you flow and work well together. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have romantic feelings for each other or have the right chemistry or any of that stuff. It just means you communicate well together. You pass information back and forth really nicely.
I appreciate systematic information. Like I appreciate like things being organized. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, it's like you like things to be articulated in like a particular manner, and
See, this is what we're talking about.
well, yeah, this probably will answer your question. So yeah, like usually I articulate something in a particular manner, and when Maddie first reads something, it doesn't often click. So I kind of like say something in a particular manner, and I just like uh, basically, I think keeping it consistent, clear and consistent for her is how I go through like providing that. Yeah, we're doing it right now.
Yeah, it's funny. He's like information transfer, like basically my information translator.
Yeah, and like no one's asked about suggestive FP, but why we could address that too, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess what is it? I don't ever really notice it, but I think because I've always seen him as a really like warm and like very like friendly and soft person, but I guess that is something that I'm good at bringing out in him is like I'm very, I'm very expressive and kind of it gives him like the space to do that as well. I think. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. You like encourage a lot of like expression from me that I would have not normally done. And like I don't really pay as much attention to the reactions of people when I'm saying my stuff. So like when I'm debating with people, and you're like hyper aware of it. And yeah, I don't know how I could do it, but I just like it just passes my mind, man. I just yeah.
Yeah. So there have been points in time, I think, where he'll run by like, oh, does this sound good to me? And I'm like, yeah, this might be interpreted this way though. So yeah, tones and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, you say I come off the wrong way sometimes. That you're like I'll say something and you'll start laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing? Like, oh well, it kind of just came off a little bit.
So, yeah, it sounded wrong because it's like I understand what you're trying to get across, and then it's like you'll say this thing, and I'm like, you do realize you sound kind of.
Yeah, so nice display of the two of them, FE and NI, and a typical NT. I think this can work out really well between any types that are there are all those types that use FE very well, and then other types that just don't. Kind of classic for NTs and really anybody. So it doesn't have to be an ESC. It could be an EIE. Could be an ENFP type as well. IEE. Could even be an SEE that just has really good people skills and FE stuff going on. Right. They can also help out. Let me kind of move it along here a little bit. And we got a stupid commercial. See if I get to the right spot that I kind of want to throw in there. One last little bit. Oh, hey, TurboTax. Yeah, what do you have to say? Absolutely nothing. We don't care. Okay.
So simple that they're just like too simple to be interested in. And at least from my experience, that was very true. Like she was simple, understandable. And I guess like since I don't really meet people that are like super like loud and expressive like Maddie, it was a little bit like appeasing and annoying at first. And it never really made me avoid her or anything, because she was always very pleasant to talk to. But yeah, so it slowly grew on me as I got to know her. Yeah. How about you?
Okay, so I did not share the same experience. So the first time I even knew of like Emery's existence is he messaged me on Discord, because he thought I like left a server I was moderating because I was doing all the work. He's like, I'm really happy with your work. You do such a great job. Just know that like I noticed and I've always wanted to be in a voice chat with you. And I think like I met him for the first time in like a voice chat, and I just thought he was really cool. I was like, oh, this
fell for
guy
that
is like so
line.
neat. He has such a pretty voice. Dang. And what was it? He so I got Minecraft for
Oh, here we go.
Christmas, and I was asking people. It was like my first. I got it on the Switch because I got a Switch, and it was like my first social console. And I was asking people to play with me, and Emery comes in.
So iffy.
It's like, I'll play with you. He pity played Minecraft with me, and that's how this whole debacle started. Is he pity played Minecraft with me, and I think I remember.
Well, no one else was gonna do it. Yeah, so I felt so she really wanted someone to play Minecraft with her, and I could tell. Like she's like, oh, I really want someone to play Minecraft with me. I'm like, I knew no one was gonna do it, so I was like, I felt bad, so I played Minecraft. And that's kind of how we got to know each other.
Yeah, so I remember
So
I
alpha
think I was
quadra
asking him
values.
about like his life goals, and he was like, yeah, I really want to like become a psychologist and do all this other stuff. And I was like, that's super cool, that's neat. And then I remember mentioning like my big dream was I was going to live in like a tiny, it's still my big dream. I want to live in a tiny home. I want to take an RV and convert it into a tiny home and travel. And he responded back, yeah, I want to do the same thing, but you know, I want to do it with someone that I really care about. And you know, I just
That wasn't a flirt, by the way. I was just,
yeah, no, he was being very serious. Like he didn't even consider me like romantically at all. I think he was
again, pointing it out, very alpha quadra values, very wanting to be a part of a group, getting along, very open to almost anybody, like, hey, let's all play, like whomever, it's an open call. Very alpha sort of behavior. You know, gammas tend to be much more picky. Betas can be a little bit more picky as well. It's deltas probably play by themselves. They don't even give a shit. So it's just very alpha, this very warm, open, friendly kind of vibe going on between both of them, really. And even the goals they're talking about are kind of like nice, homey, feel good, simple goals. It's not like somebody's saying, I want to conquer the world one day, or I want to be president of the United States, and I want to be, you know, something like, you know, it's kind of very modest, homey, feel good sort of vibes that you're like, yeah, it sounds like an alpha. That an alpha would enjoy this. Even an alpha NT who maybe wants to do psychology or do something very science oriented, but is not necessarily trying to like dominate the world doing it. It's a much more modest approach that they're taking towards it. They're doing it because they enjoy doing it, and you know that's about it. So a lot of alpha compatibility going on in this whole interaction here.
were you
yeah.
I think you were in like
I was seeing someone when we first met.
Yeah, he was seeing someone when we first met, and he was talking about like, oh, I just want you know, I just want a partner I can share everything with, just someone who really gets me, and like we just, you know, I want a partner in crime. And
see, to me, and this might be very gamma of me, I probably would have been a smart ass, but like, so you want the right partner, you know, gee, as opposed to the person who wants the wrong partner. Like, is there somebody who wants the wrong partner? You know, I want somebody who just gets me and knows me, as opposed to the person who wants somebody who doesn't get you. Like, but I think that's more of a gamma style smart assness, you know.
I want to have someone mean like everything to me, and me mean everything to them. And at that point, I was like, this is so cute. I swear I don't have a crush on him. He's doing what, you know, he was talking about traveling to like New York and how he traveled to New York. And I was like, oh, this guy is doing what like I want to do with my life. I should get to know him. And yeah, just I was constantly thinking like what came back in my head was just like him describing how much like love meant to him, like that sort of like intimacy. And I think at that moment, I kind of kept lying to myself. I was like, I don't have a crush on him. I don't have a crush on him. Oh crap, I have a crush on him. And yeah, I guess I wanted to respect his relationship. So I was just like, hey, I really want to get to know you. Here's my Snapchat. Here's my phone number. Like, text me anytime. Let's talk. Let's play Minecraft together.
Yeah, I was like, why are you giving me all this information? I'm like, I'm a pretty like private person, so I don't give out a lot of information about myself. And like, I you know, I keep to myself pretty much. Like when someone does that, I'm like, what are you doing? Like I was a bit suspicious of like what her intentions were, and I wasn't. Yeah.
So yeah, I just kept inviting him to hang out with me. Because
Yeah,
there is a point
you're
in time where,
persistent. Yeah.
yeah, so like Fizzle, one of our mutual friends on Discord, Emery, and then like another person, we were all playing like Minecraft together. We'd play like the entire night. We were looking for like horses and going on adventures. And there's like one night where we stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the morning and you know the romantic gut spilling session. And after that I was like, oh god, I want to kiss this man. I did. Yeah. For sure. That's
good.
Can you see how it's almost very kind of alpha kiddish in a way?
So yeah, anyway, that's kind of
story.
how we got to know each other. So so what other stuff you have written down?
I think there was something about the process of dualization. I can't remember. So there, because I remember someone asked like what the process of dualization was like. So what?
Yeah, and I remember you were looking up what that meant.
Yeah, and let me find the article. I'm so organized. Can't you tell?
Yeah.
Let me find the article we were talking about. Oh god.
Okay, so anyway, it gets there along the way. She somewhere along the way she's going to talk about, but I don't want it to drag on. So she eventually goes on to tell a story about him mentioning that he wanted to do some Minecraft with like a group or something like that or whatever, and like needed some friends. And she right away like just posted out to the world apparently like people looking to play Minecraft, like who wants to join, whatever. And she found several people who wanted to come play Minecraft and join. And then she shows up like, hey, I've got this whole team of people together to play Minecraft. And he's like, how did this happen? Like, where did you find all these people? It's like, well, you wanted me to find people so we can play with. So I found a bunch of people just like that. Just randomly, I made a whole bunch of friends overnight, pretty much. Which that sounds like ESE in a nutshell. That's one of the things they're so good at, just talking to anybody, being so super inclusive. They'll bring a bunch of random strangers in and do an activity together. And meanwhile, you have your LII over here who's FE suggestive. So they kind of wish that they could bring people together, could get friends and people to just kind of cooperate and play and work together. So she was fulfilling that FE suggestive that he would always like, right? And this is kind of like the duels working out, you know. And for her, it's just so easy, just like, okay, you want me to find friends? I'll find friends. You know, hey, world, come together, you know. And they got along great that way, right? And they've already gave an example of how he helps her with like TI stuff, like putting things in logical structure and understanding how things make sense, how things work in a logical, coherent pattern, you know, and articulate those kinds of nuanced answers better. He helps her with that, right? And you're seeing the interplay there between the two. So this is an example again of duality. As they pointed out, it doesn't solve everything. It doesn't necessarily mean you're always gonna have chemistry, romantic chemistry with somebody who's your dual, but you communicate, exchange information very well, and you complement each other's strengths and weaknesses very well. So this was a nice example of that. Again, this is a video on the World Socionic Society stuff. Kind of an older one, I guess, a few years old, something like that. If you want to check it out, the whole thing, go ahead, check it out. It's like an hour and 7 minutes, it says here, long. So I was hoping to just get a good little snapshot for you and kind of showcase the duality and these two types in particular, especially her, because ESCs are hard to find and hard to showcase. So there you go. All right. So as always, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this interaction, what your thoughts are on duality, and kind of about these two, you know, especially if you know them, that'd be nice. Yeah. So until the next one,